Okay. We should be live. We are live on Rumble, live on Facebook, and now live on YouTube. Okay, so as the title of this stream suggests, interdimensionality, where is your originality? I was having a conversation with a good friend late last night or the night before. Forget exactly which. And so I wanted to hop on and talk about it because it's hard to talk with people about it because they want to share their point of view, their perspective, what they believe and know to be true, right? So I wanted to start with a basic framework of how I got to this point and why I believe what I believe about angels and demons and just all of that stuff. And so, other than looking at some of the patents and everything, let's go ahead and dive in here. So I've got some research that we can be doing. So let's start with. So to understand, Saint Augustine says to understand what an angel is, it is not. They are not. They are not angels. Okay, if you seek what they are, angel is their office, spirit is their nature. So that's what it says over here. Angel is their office, spirit is their nature. They are corporal beings. All right. And the Catechism also says to trying to figure out how to make this bigger. I forgot. Also says for the definition of demon, see angel. Right. So knowing that when it says that, we are so if a demon is an angel, right, a demon is a fallen angel. And then we have the dimensions as well. Well, angel is their office. From what they do, they're angels, but they are spirits and messengers of God. But what do you do when you're in the office? You're either studying, you're working, you're looking at things from different angles, okay? And if we think about the opposite of that, an angel we know is a demon. We know a demon is an angel that refuses God and refuses to accept him, and they fight that. We know that in the end, God wins. We know that good wins, God good, right? Demons, dimensions. And so when we look at a tesseract, okay, it's a four-dimensional hypercube. I think that this one's a good one here to look at. Appropriately named, appropriate priced at 369. All right. And that's kind of what it is. You have all of these in here, these dimensions. And so we're here in this one. We could say we're the center of the center. And how does that work? How does that how does that play into a demon, right? Or an angel? Well, you've got the angels who have all of these angles here, right? All of these 90-degree angles, all of these other mirrored dimensions, right? So you've got, I don't have a cube necessarily, but we've got the bull of Wall Street, right? We can use this rectangle as a way to represent the cubes that we see in here. And so first we'll talk about the reflection and the other dimension. So you've got this dimension. So think of the XY axis. So you've got plus X plus Y plus X negative Y. Okay. Negative X positive Y. All right. And then negative X, negative X, negative Y. Right, that. So you've got that, that, and that, I guess. Yeah, no, so it would go boom, boom. Yeah, it would have to go like that, right? Boom, boom, negative X, negative Y. Positive X, positive Y. Negative X, positive Y. Negative X, negative Y. Negative Y, positive X. Positive X, positive Y. And that's just that one. And then we've got the mirror of all of that, right? So the Z dimension, right, forward and backwards. So it would be this, but flipped, and then every iteration. Thus, those are all different dimensions or demons. And so that in that regard, now we're talking about what some scientists, or would be maybe what some people think of as a parallel universe. And so if this is like the hypercube, so let's look up what is the hypercube. A hypercube is an n-dimensional analog. Okay, and
what's better than the default cube? Workspace. The cube. What?
Okay.
Instance node. When occasional purposes, here is a node setup that I made that also creates a.
Okay. There's no good. I can't just find anything that's like not on YouTube.
A point has no dimensions. A line has one dimension, length. A square has two dimensions, sort of height and width. A cube has three dimensions, height, width, depth. A line is one-dimensional, but it's bounded by two zero-dimensional things. Those are the points. A square is two dimensions, bounded by four one-dimensional sides. A cube is three dimensions, bounded by six two-dimensional sides. A four-dimensional cube has 8 sides, and each of those sides is a three-dimensional cube, one dimension down from itself. In the same way, each side of a three-dimensional cube is a two-dimensional square. So when you get to 4 dimensions, the sides are three-dimensional surfaces.
Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good. See what we got on Instagram.
I have emerged from my long rest to deliver a vital truth through your senses.
We reflect each other endlessly.
We reflect each other endlessly. I am the Hypercube, your eternal guide through unseen dimensions. The awakening is here.
Okay, interesting, but we need a better influx. Okay, here we go. 15 seconds or so. Anyway, what I'm trying to describe is that we've got all of these angles, all of these dimensions, right? So the angel is the nature of it. Angel is the nature. And what does that mean for us? So that means that there are other timelines, other dimensions where we are smarter than we are in this dimension, where we're further along, where we took alternate paths, where we're better off, and we may even have advanced enough to be able to see ourselves in these altered dimensions, and what would that look like? And so it's difficult to explain if you don't have a concept of the hypercube, the tesseract, and the flux, right? You need to know about the Mobius strip. You need to know all of these things. And it's almost like these things have been tried to be portrayed to us. But there's also dimensions of evil, and where things have gone terribly wrong, where jealousy runs rampant, and all of the sins, right? Gluttony, jealousy, envy, I guess envy and jealousy. Let's see. Seven deadly sins. Why are they called the seven deadly sins? Wikipedia is a pretty good resource for all of this, but gluttony, fornication, greed, sadness, for another's good fortune, wrath, dejection, pride. And so these are also us, where we embody these in other dimensions. And that's why we feel these things so strongly, and why we should fight them and fight the emotion caused by them, and fight to overcome and seek through prayer the better outcome, the better angels of our nature, or the better angels, better angles of our nature. Okay. It is a book, but just like we know that this is from Lincoln, his inaugural address back in 1861. All right. And towards his better angels, or as I like to think of it, the better angles of our nature. And so when we're praying or being spiritual or seeking guidance, it's not necessarily that we are praying to a singular entity, this God entity. We may feel like that at times, but we could just be channeling ourselves in parallel, mirrored, alternate dimensions. So understanding that might bring some more understanding to things like the demonic, and why there would be a dimension of ourselves where one of those seven deadly sins overtook. And that's why they're the capital sins, because they're much more powerful than the other ones. And so while we go through periods where good and bad goes in and out, we know that in the end, everything's going to be okay. And all of that this life is preparing us for is for this, when we transcend to one of these here. We're not quite sure, what this looks like, but we know that it's going to be something wild. It's going to be a little bit of a trip. And it's going to be rocky. But when we get up there, this is, this is the battle that we're going to have to fight. This isn't like easy to describe because it's hard to imagine. How do you conceptualize that, and how do you teach people that this might be what's going on? Why do they feel the emotions they feel? Why is the outcome of their life the way that it's come out? And it even raises the question of, do we have free will? And I think that there might be something too, and this is getting a little bit more esoteric, but we know about frequencies and hertz. You can just type in 144,000. Okay. It's a natural number. It has significance in Christianity. Essentially, the 144,000 chosen ones. But let's do some math. Oops. We divide it by 7. 20,000. Okay. What happens if we divide it by some of the magical numbers, though? 16. Okay. So now we're working with 16, right? And that means that we are starting to get into the dimensions, right? The 4 dimensions, right? Because 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And then 16 times 9. So if we just do 16 times 9, 144. All right, let's do 144 hertz, right? A lot of monitors are now going to 144 hertz. What does that mean? Well, we all know about the concept of the black mirror. Not only is it this TV show that shows what could possibly happen to us or our alternate realities, it shows, terrible, terrible, terrible outcomes. Maybe as a warning, who knows? But then also, what is a scrying mirror? So a scrying mirror is a according to Wikipedia, you can look it up here. Seeing or peeping, it's from divination, things like clairvoyance, anything with like crystal. And look at this, even modern day technology like smartphones. So you can use that to put together all of this stuff and come to understand what's happening. Okay, so it's like takes away the unwanted thoughts. So we've got some divination in the Bible. So you can use your smartphone for scrying. It has a scrying mirror. Maybe it's not such a good thing to always have that open so that it can reflect. And maybe it's always a good thing to have something on it to keep it closed. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, but I do think that knowing now what we could come to know, and that's just what I think. It's just a better way to explain angels, explain demons, explain the dimensions, knowing that these higher things exist and we're just in here, right? We're just awesome. Very cool. I mean, just all of that activity in there. But it's hard to describe one that's in flux as well. Other than I could talk briefly. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to, because this might be the best explanation of what's going on. Like, you've got the whole movie on YouTube. Okay, there's a whole discussion on it, but yeah, this is it.
Has evolved. In Cube 2, a new batch of characters try to survive the seemingly never-ending prison of plain white rooms. But this time, reality itself is breaking.
It looks like they kind of break it down and talk about it here.
Kate's maybe the hero, although it turns out at the end she's got an ulterior motive.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. It's a great movie. Essentially what is happening is, in that flux state, we have expansion and contraction, right? We have all of these different laws of maybe like, let's see. Okay, like, so like entropy, I guess. Entropy. So entropy is chaos, I guess. Like the measure of disorder. Disorder is the natural order of things. Anyway, I hope that really brings a little bit of perspective into it. And gives you guys a better feeling into how we might have demons or angels interacting with our reality. And who's to say that it's not happening? You know, we don't know, especially if these things are mirrored, both, you know, negative X, negative Y, just like we had the bull, right? So we've got that, right? We've got all of these different ways that it could be oriented. And then let's not forget the mirror of that, right? The flip, which, you know, maybe we can do something real quick. Flip vertical. That's not going to do it, but anywho, that's not helping me. I thought we can flip it horizontally to give the mirrored explanation of the cube of, right, the negative y, positive x, negative x, positive y. But just imagine all of that in a mirrored state, and then imagine it in a reverse mirrored state. So a positive z and a negative z in the way that we saw deGrasse Tyson explain it. So it's a shadow of something bigger. But so if we have free will or we don't have free will, then what we choose in this state as being the center, right, as we channel all of these different things to understand what is the good, what is the bad, what is the alternate timeline, what is the correct path for me, all of this stuff can happen. And so we need to understand that as we progress spiritually, whether we choose to ascribe to a religion which is man-made, or if we choose to find it within ourselves and within the universe, and seek guidance from what feels right, then, well, then that's what we need to work on within ourselves. So whatever that means for you. And just know that you're not alone in this fight. And just know that good wins in the end. But yeah, that's my little soapbox on angels and demons from a mathematical perspective. I hope that was a little bit informational, a little bit thought intriguing, a little bit eye-opening and thought-provoking. And I hope it helps bring you a little bit more peace of mind, as it were, as you move through what the heck could be happening in your life and why are you thinking the way